Excuse me. Don't get in my space. I gotta do this. We got Blanca here today, who's needy, very needy because of the situation. But anyway, welcome back to 42nd Street, Pete's Grindhouse. And really weird cinema, I guess this would fall under, because someone asked me when I was looking for films to release, what was I looking for? Well, honestly, I was looking for stuff that nobody else had done. I mean, let's face it, we were all pulling from the same inventory, so to speak, of what was floating around at the time. And, you know, like Something Weird Video, alternative, you know, After Hours Cinema, Alpha Blue Archives, and some other ones. We were all, you know, basically the same old same. But I tried to find stuff that nobody else had found. And I succeeded with the film from the 70s called Orgy of the Dolls. And this was a really interesting little film because it comes across as an import, and I don't think it is. It's narrated. The characters have German names like Brunhilde, Franz, the professor, things like that. It winds up that Brunhilde's husband, I keep saying Brunhilde because of that witch thing. Brunhilde's husband Franz is fascinated by this doll shop which has a bunch of life-size dolls and is run by a really weird-looking guy called the Professor. Well, she's spying on Franz one day, and the Professor walks out and drops his keys, and she picks up his keys and goes in and visits these life-size dolls, which there were 6 of, you know, 3 males, 3 females, a cowboy, a gesture, a ballerina, a fairy princess, whatever. So she sort of notices that there's a key around there, and she sticks the key in the back of the dolls and winds them up, and that is after giving the cowboy doll a really interesting blowjob. So she winds these things up, and all of a sudden, we have an orgy of just about anything you could think of. Girl, girl, guy on girl, 2 guys on 1 girl, whatever. It goes on and on forever. That's the title, The Orgy of the Dolls. So Brunhilde is joining in the orgy and actually finds a doll and dresses in her clothes. But her husband Franz comes in and is talking to the Professor. And she is playing like she can't see anything, but she definitely sees the Professor slip Franz something which knocks him out. And then she realizes something, that this guy is some sort of alchemist and is turning people into these dolls and displaying them. Well, she sort of distracts the doctor from doing that by giving him a blowjob. And then once he passes out from the blowjob, she goes in and stacks all the dolls up, wakes up Franz, and takes off. Like I said, it's an interesting concept. It comes across as an import film. But looking at it, I don't recognize any of the performers at all. I can't find any reference to this in any reference books that I have or anything like that. Nor do I see any release for it. So I don't know what it was, but like I said, I had put this thing out on my Orgy of the Dolls thing, which I, you know, sometimes fail to promote myself where I should, but I had paired this with Bordello Girls. Now it says Orgy of the Dolls, somebody must have looked it up, 73. Bordello Girls, 1976, is a woman who basically runs a bordello, and it's Joan Devlin under a pseudonym, a French pseudonym, whatever. And, you know, Joan was a regular in a lot of these films, like one of those unsung women that, you know, you saw a lot, but you didn't know who she was because she went under different names. And she's the madam, and she's visited by an old flame, Steve, who wants her to invest in his porno business. But then she confides in Steve that she's basically, you know, recording her girl sessions with guys and, you know, has them in stock. So we get to see a lot of that and a young John Leslie in one loop, and then eventually Steve and the madam get it on themselves. 2 really good films that really never saw the light of day back in the day. Bordello Girls might have, but Orgy of the Dolls, I seriously don't think so. So it's available, afterhourscinema.com, the 42nd Street Pete collection, if you hadn't picked one up already. And now to get on some other stuff, a little book reviews here. No Gimmicks Needed, the Chris Candido story, available from eatsleepandwrestle.com. Chris was a mainstay on the East Coast for years. He was trained or introduced to the sport by his not his maternal grandfather, but his adopted grandfather, who worked for the WWF as Popeye Chuck Richards. So his grandfather used to take him to the matches, take him to the garden, introduce him around, and he was hooked. So he was only like 14 or 15 years old when he and a young Balls Mahoney used to lie to their parents that I'm sleeping over his house, he's sleeping over my house, and they take a train up to Brooklyn and wrestle under masks for rum and cokes and hot dogs. They actually wrestled some names up there like Black Gordman and some Mexican wrestlers. So they honed their craft and they were lifelong friends. Chris wound up in Smoky Mountain with Jim Cornette and his girlfriend Tammy, who we all know as Sonny. And after a stint in Smoky Mountain, they went to the WWE where Chris was badly used and Sonny was the star. And that led to a lot of stuff because Candido really loved Sonny no matter what she did. And Chris left the WWE. Chris went to ECW. Chris started having problems. Tammy went there. They started having more problems. It's all documented in there by friends. It's written by his stepbrother, Johnny, who I've seen wrestle too. There's quotes in there from Cornette, Ian Rotten, Jimmy Shoulders, other people. Chris actually shook his demons off. Chris got clean and sober because it got to the point where even Ian Rotten wouldn't use him. So he was healthy. He was working. My memories of Chris are this. I, of course, like I said, got sort of sucked into the business with the Sabu tribute run by Crowbar. Chris wrestled on that show. Sabu didn't want him to work for nothing and tried to pay him. Chris wouldn't take any money. Chris drove him to the airport. On the way home, he pulled down his sun visor and money fell out, so Sabu left it in there anyway. Chris was having fun. Chris was in TNA. He was mentoring younger guys. He was clean and sober, doing some great ring work. He was also in Cyberspace Wrestling, which was another local promotion run by Billy Firehawk, and he was a regular there too. And one thing, I was at one show, and Chris and Matt Stryker stole the whole show by mimicking all the older wrestlers, like the Superfly Splash, the Hogan leg drop, the Macho Man elbow drop, the whole thing. While Billy's standing there holding his sheets, fuming, and I said, dude, the crowd's digging it, just let it go. But, I said, Billy, they love it, just let it go, who cares? There's no time limit here. So what happened tragically was that Chris was wrestling a match in TNA and broke his leg badly. When you break a leg, you are basically advised not to fly because of blood clots. And believe me when I tell you, I'm no stranger to blood clots. One almost took me out when I had the cancer surgery. So I'm no stranger to that shit. So against advice, Chris flew home, blood clot got loose, and killed him. 32 years old, I believe. And a true tragedy because, like I said, Chris was out there enjoying himself for a time. As for Sonny, she'd clean up, get dirty, clean up, get dirty. We saw her once when we were working for WSU. She looked great. About 3 months later, there was the Jersey All-Pro Anniversary show where she could hardly stand up in the ring. If you follow what happened to her, right now she's in jail in Florida for vehicular manslaughter. Sonny had a lot of chances and blew almost all of them. So if you're into wrestling, definitely worth picking up. This other book here, Dark Dreams by Nick Cato from Head Press and Amazon. This is a look at Romano Scavolini's Nightmare, with a lot of people contributing to this book, including myself. I had gotten it on a weekend. I just sat down a few days ago, got a chance to read it, and let me tell you something. It's one hell of a book. Great book. Covers a lot of stuff. There's a lot of contributing writers here besides myself. Kathleen Ferguson, Bill Milling, Michael Gingold, of course me, David Hamilton, a bunch of people. So if you're a fan of this, definitely pick it up. It's a very well written book, and again, available from Amazon or Head Press. Now, for my book, I don't have one. This is the original Whole Bag of Crazy. My girl Lorena had redid it, and we have a new edition of it out, available on my website, www.42ndstreetpete.net. It's not the same book. It's re-edited, it makes more sense, there's stuff that was taken out and put back in. That's all I'm going to say about that, so that's another one. Getting back to the whole wrestling thing, I've been in touch with Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein, who's a deathmatch wrestler who just went back on the road. He wants to come here and do a little video thing. I was also thinking, because I probably spent as much time at wrestling shows than I did in grindhouses at a certain point in my life. Mostly the 80s and things like that. I mean, I discovered wrestling with Bruno Sammartino and George the Animal Steele in the mid-70s. And I used to go to the Garden regularly and somehow got involved in this whole thing. So I was thinking is maybe another project, write a book about, the shit that I did involving wrestling, the things I've seen, the places I went, the people I met. So that's sitting in the back burner here. So we'll see. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'd hate to, put a bunch of work into shit and just have it sit here. Again, my sincere thanks for everything going on with the Boots Memorial, and Blanca's sitting over there depressed as shit. Dogs can feel grief. I had to call the vet and try to figure out what to do here, but, she's not with it, shall we say. But we're doing our best we can here. So, again, the donation site is www.42ndstreetpete.com. Specify if it's for Boots or for the channel. The merchandise site is www.42ndstreetpete.net. And, of course, support our friends here like thefuseboxshow.com, grindhousereleasing.com, alternativecinema.com, somethingweirdvideo.com, mitchellconnell.com, dangerousginger.com, and anybodyIforgot.com. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend and stay safe, and we'll be back Monday with more mayhem and some more movies. So until then, catch you on the flip side.